Ladies and gentlemen, the director of Chi-Raq, Mr. Spike Lee.
What's up, Toronto? T-Dot. Thank you, thank you. So where's the party at afterwards? No house parties.
Thank you so much for that incredible film, Spike. Why was it urgent for you to make now?
Well, there's an epidemic, United States of America, of gun violence. 99 Americans die of gun violence every day. A third of them due to suicide. Chicago is a homicide capital of the United States of America. New York City is 3 times the population of Chicago. Chicago has more homicides. Same thing with Los Angeles. We started filming this June 1st, 2015. We finished July 9th. During that time, from the first day of filming, June 1st to July 9th, the last day, over 300 people wounded and shot, 56 murdered. And it's escalated since then.
And you chose satire as the way to approach this? Can you discuss that?
Well, the original source is satire. It was a play written by the great Greek playwright Aristophanes. The play is called Lysistrata. It was written 411 BC, and it's about the main character, Lysistrata, who forms a sex strike to bring the wars that are ravaging Greece to a halt. So my co-writer, Kevin Wilmot, it was his ideal to adapt this play. We tried to do it 6 years ago. We were unsuccessful. I came back last year, let's try to do it again, but let's make it take place in Chicago and call it Chiraq. And we were lucky enough that Amazon wanted to do it. This is Amazon Studios' first theatrical release.
I can imagine getting a movie like this made is difficult.
Can somebody answer that question, please? No shit, Sherlock. No, it's tough. Yes.
And do you see this as a war movie for you?
Oh, there's a war definitely going on the streets in America. And ground zero is the south and west side of Chicago. It's definitely a war.
There's references to other war movies. That final image with Dolomides seems to recall Patton.
Yes.
There seems to be references to Dr. Strangelove, perhaps.
Yes. I mean, that's a great satire. I mean, some people don't have the understanding or just can't deal with satire. And I mean, there's numerous examples where very serious subject matters dealt with satire. And one of the things I always refer to first is Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove, where the film is about the nuclear destruction of this God's earth. And that film is funny as a motherfucker. But, I mean, Network was a satire. Even the film that really was inspiration for Network, which is Elia Kazan's A Face in the Crowd, written by the late, great Bud Schulberg, which predicted Donald Trump. And this film was made in 1957.
Dare I ask about Trump?
Well, he's a product of Dr. Frankenstein, which is the Republican Party. And they've created this monster. And it's serious business. Before it was a joke, it was a lark. But it looks like he's going to win the Republican nomination. And yesterday, he said that if any shenanigans take place, any skullduggery, any hijinks, that his people are going to riot. And what he was saying is really giving the green light for his people to run amok, and it's consistent what he said numerous times in his rallies when there have been some people in it who did not agree with him, and he urged his people to rough people up. So I was not surprised when Chi-Raq shut down Donald Trump last weekend, and I mean in Chicago. You know, they weren't, Chicago wasn't having it, and he's trying to blame the protesters, but everything he's done is, I mean, karma is bad. Karma is a violent karma, and all this stuff is, you know, he's bringing it upon himself, I think.
I want to open it up to questions from the audience. Please raise your hand. We have microphones on either side. We will get the mic to you. Right there. Sir, go ahead.
Hi, I was just wondering if you could talk in terms of distribution, because it's pretty big in terms of Amazon having this. They're going to show it on Prime, and then tomorrow I believe it's going to be both in theaters and online. So just wondering, as a filmmaker, you're still making the film for the big screen, or do you have to take into consideration the viewers that can view it on the small screen as well? And what do you think about that distribution method?
Well, this, as I said before, this is the first film Amazon Studios. So Amazon Studios was they did that because they want to have films in the theaters. The first release, the first time audience will see it is theatrical. The run is not long as most movies because then they just take it to Amazon Prime. But anything I do, I'm making for the big screen, not on an iPhone. And no disrespect to iPhone, but it just kills me. It hurts my soul that today's young generation is the first time they've seen Apocalypse Now, Bridge River Kwai, Lawrence of Arabia is on an iPhone. Now I can see you watching a TV show, a series, but those films were shot in 70 millimeter, and I'm sorry, I mean, and it's tragic because New York City, the Ziegfeld closed. And that was the best theater in New York City. Saw many premieres there, and now they're going to turn into a ballroom. So I know we have to move forward with technology, but you have an iPhone on you?
Samsung. Or Samsung.
Doesn't work. I mean, that works.
Yeah, you want?
So you're going to watch Spartacus. And I'm serious. First time you see Spartacus is going to be on an iPhone or a Samsung? Nah.
We'll be proud to know we have beautiful 70 millimeter right
Oh
here.
yeah,
in
this
theater.
theater is amazing. Give it up for TIFF.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Spike, thanks and congratulations on a fantastic film. I just want to know, I felt like there were themes running through Chiraq that were similar to those running through Clockers, which I think is a really great film. I just want to know if in your creative process making this film, if you sort of revisited anything that was sort of going on when you were making Clockers.
Well, I haven't seen Clocks in years, so we did not go back and look at Clockers, but there's similarities with young black men killing young black men. In that film, it takes place in Brooklyn, New York. This one in Chicago, but that is a similarity. But I didn't have to go back. I mean, it's two different worlds. So, and nobody, Matty, the great cinematographer, Matty Labatique, we did not screen Clockers for this film.
Yes. Oh. Who's got the mic?
Hi, great movie. I have a question about John Cusack. He played a great role, but I'm wondering what the significance was of having a white guy play the priest in a black movie.
The character that John Cusack played is a real life person. Google him. His name is Father Michael Flager. He's a white Roman Catholic priest who's been in that church for 40 years. That church is in the heart of South Side Chicago. His congregation is all black, only half of it Catholic. There's a great, if you go to New York, 2 weeks ago, New Yorker did a great profile on him, so check him out. His name is Father Michael Flager. And in addition, that character is a combination of Father Michael Flager and the character Cole Malden played on The Waterfront. We put those two together. He's a real live person. Saint Sabina Church, Southside Chicago.
Hi. So my question is, diversity is a big issue. It has been a big issue this year. I work at a movie theater. I love movies. This was amazing to see because it was a minority cast. But what do you think Hollywood has to do, or is there something that can happen now that can get people of minority, women, people you don't see now in film, directing film? What is it going to take for Hollywood to wake up and realize that there are different stories to tell and that it is time to tell them? And it is not just a white man's game, it is everybody's game.
Well, I think they're starting to get, the powers that be starting to get the picture. There was a report released very recently by UCLA showing with the data and with the statistics and the data that films with diverse casts make more money. This is proven. But it all comes from the Oscars. People were focused on the Oscars. And a heat needed to be brung to the Academy, but it starts before that. And it goes to what I call the gatekeepers. These are the white males who have green light votes, and they're the ones who decide what's getting made, what's not getting made, who's directing it, who's writing it. All the choices are made in front of and behind the camera. And until minorities get in those gatekeeping roles, it's going to continue to be the same. My opinion.
Hear, hear.
We're not in the room. We're not in the room. We don't have a say. And that's the problem.
Yes.
I feel like you, by way of your characters, have been yelling at us for a
Oh,
couple...
where are you?
Over here. Have been yelling
Can
at
you
us.
start again? Can you start again? Thank you.
You, by way of your characters, have been yelling at us for a couple of decades to wake up. And now that the term woke is an expression that people use, what other messages that you've been trying to get out do you want people to start to take up as hashtags on the internet? If you could direct us in that way.
Well, wake up first appeared, in the school days, as the last words shouted out to the world by Lawrence Fishburne. And Do the Right Thing begins with Samuel Jackson saying those same words, wake up. And I guess I'll continue to use those two words till people are woke. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's such a powerful film, of course, of the issues of today, and your use of drama is just superb. So I was wondering if you've shown this in the communities in Chicago, and what the reaction has been.
Oh, the reaction is mixed in Chicago, and I feel that because the truth is hard to take, and no one's gonna gloat about your city, your neighborhood, being the epicenter of homicide in the United States of America. And there were many people in Chicago who felt that since I'm a New Yorker and I'm not from Chicago, that I should have directed the film. The fact remains, I was in Chicago 6 months, going back and forth between New York and Chicago, meeting Father Flager, meeting the people. For instance, the last scene in the film, where all the women are in white. Those women are part of an organization called Pain Over Purpose. Those pictures they're holding up, those are pictures of their children, their sons and daughters who were murdered. And here's the thing. This August 9th will be the 30th anniversary she's going to have it. So I'm used to criticism. And look, some criticism is good you could use, but the one criticism of this film was totally unfair is that by using satire, we were making light of this serious subject matter, and I disagree 100%. No, not one of those mothers will ever participate in anything that made a mockery of their child that was murdered on the streets of Chicago. Why would Jennifer Hudson appear in a film that mocked her mother, brother, nephew who were murdered, died of gun violence in the South Side of Chicago? So, for me, that just blows up that criticism, because the other people who are talking have not lost their sons or daughters. Yes.
Spike, you and I have grown up together. I mean, you didn't know it, but we've grown up together. So what I'm interested in is, what do you want to see from younger Black filmmakers now?
Oh, I'm very enthusiastic about people who come behind me. I was had the pleasure and the honor of seeing a film in Sundance, which is going to win Best Picture next year. The film is called Birth of a Nation. It's about the Nat Turner slave rebellion, co-written, directed, and starring Nate Parker. So I'm very enthusiastic that young people, are gonna show the world what they feel about, how they're gonna express themselves and tell their stories.
Hi, Spike.
Hello.
Thank you for being in Toronto with us to show this and talk about it. There's a couple of quotes, like in the movie. So one, there was a banner that said, discipleship will cost you. Are you willing? There was self-inflicted genocide. I gave my whole life to this and got nothing for it. And then the only security is love. And I wonder, as a filmmaker, a lot of times there's that resistance to trying to propose a solution to really complex social issues while also still trying to tell a story in that. And I wonder how much you felt you had to try and avoid proposing a solution, or you were expected to propose a solution, or criticized for how you're read as proposing some solution.
Good question. And I had the answer. Everything you said was addressed in the sermon/eulogy that John Cusack's character delivers. We did not just be a scene that said, if she'd been allowed to live, she could have been a doctor, a lawyer, and even even the first African American woman president. We wanted to give facts why she was in that coffin. Key line, which I got from Father, a lot of that sermon was taken directly from sitting in Saints and Bina and listening to what Father Flake was saying. Key line, it's easy in Chicago to buy a computer, then a gun, the whole thing about the food deserts, the thing about education, the thing about the industrial prison complex, unemployment. That scene's like 16 minutes long. So we wanted to give the reasons, this systemic, racism and all this other stuff that why it is the way it is. And I would like to say, though, and Angela Bassett's character says it's also not just Chicago, as she says in the film, it's Bucktown, was Brooklyn, New York, it's Philadelphia, it's Bodymore, Murderland. But Kevin and I felt that if you're going to deal with this, you got to go where it's happening at a rate more anywhere in America, and that's Chicago. Chicago also is America's biggest segregated city. So all these factors take place. Chicago's always been a gangster town from way back Prohibition. Chicago's really built upon Prohibition with Al Capone, and there were black gangs that were counterpoint to the mafia. So it's a very, very complex place, Chicago, Illinois.
We get a mic right there. Yes, sir.
One of the reasons this movie was so powerful for me is it was the satire and especially the writing. And I laughed more in this than any other comedy film I've seen. And I personally think comedy is not.
It's not. I wouldn't call this film a comedy.
No, I mean satire. But the dialogue made me laugh
you
more.
You said comedy, though, sir.
I was mistaken.
Say what you mean what you say.
Yes. Thank you.
That's what I tell my students.
I've laughed. This movie made me laugh more than anything else, and I just think. Do you agree that the comedy in Hollywood is not good anymore? Is stagnant?
This is not a comedy.
No, I know.
But you keep referring to that word comedy, my man.
I was. No, this is a satire through and through, but there are moments peppered throughout that were humorous, like Sam Jackson and the dialogue and a lot of alliteration.
But for me, as maybe not for yourself, but for me, there's a distinction between humor and comedy. Comedy is when people.
Yes, I meant to say humor.
On banana peels, stuff like that.
You're right. Humor is the better word, the more appropriate word. Sorry. So, I hope I didn't offend you by that, but that's.
I'm not offended. I just don't understand the question, sir.
Okay, then maybe I'll stop.
It's all love. It's all love.
Yes.
Hi. Thanks for the film and for your entire body of work. I recently taught Do the Right Thing to my students, and it was...
What film?
Do the Right Thing.
And not Driving Miss Daisy?
No. Anyway, it
Best
was...
film, 1989? Oscar winner?
Yeah. Yeah. That and...
Why you dog out Driving Miss Daisy like that?
1989 was a very good year. But in any case, and it was still sadly highly relevant, as you know, because of the incidents of police brutality going on. So
Eric Garner.
Eric Garner, exactly. But this is a sort of, I guess, on a lighter note. I just wanted to ask you how you approached and how much you enjoyed directing the musical numbers in this movie.
Oh, anybody's familiar with my body of work, music is a very, very big part of it. And one day I hope to do a full-out musical, hopefully one day. But we had fun, doing, bringing back the Shy Lights for Old Girl. We had fun.
Yes.
I'm actually going to try to salvage my predecessor's question. I think, because this film, over here, because this film is a satire which we do not see much more any days, especially one with such a large budget. So what do you think the role of satire is in modern day society, and why do you think we don't see satirical films as often as, well, as you said, all these films, Dr. Strangelove, were 50, 60 years ago?
Satire is hard to do. It's very hard because you have to find the right balance. Because if you tip over one way, either way, it's not going to turn out well. And so you really have to have the balance. And again, it's hard to do. And a lot of audiences don't understand satire. Maybe I was stupid. But I just felt that, again, this story in Chicago could have been told by a straight-up documentary, a straight-up drama, but Kevin Wilmot and I decided that, a satire would be and I've done it before with Bamboozled, so I like that genre.
Got time for one more? Yes, sir, right in front.
Did you have any concerns about how you were representing and commenting on the NRA, given it's such a powerful organization in the United States?
Say that again, please. Speaking to the microphone, I want to hear this question.
Did you have concerns about how you were representing the NRA in that one section, which was done in a negative way, given how powerful the NRA is as an organization in the United States?
Was I fearful for my life?
Just concerned about how it was represented in the film.
The National Rifle Association are monsters. The politicians undertake, and the gun manufacturers profit on death. You know, and every time there's a mass shooting, more guns are sold in America. And for me, they kneel down at the altar of the almighty dollar. They don't give a fuck. And, you know, they're powerful, like you said. And every time President Obama tries to push forward some common sense laws, they shut it down. They twist his words. They get people do Jedi mind tricks on motherfuckers and thinking that he's saying that he's taking away their Second Amendment rights, and he's not doing that at all. For example, the no-fly thing. In the United States, if you're a suspected terrorist, you cannot buy an airplane ticket. But you still can go to any gun store in America and buy an assault weapon. Does that make any motherfucking sense? Does that make sense? And even the most right-wing gun owners agree that needs to be changed, but the politicians have they have it on lock, in cahoots with the NRA, and this stuff is stuck. And I mean, it's amazing, but every time Obama tried to do something, Republicans have said, hell no, we're not doing it. So it's been very difficult for him all 8 years. And we're coming to, it's about to get real with this coming presidential election. I'm going to end it. Can I end it right here? A story. When Barack Obama was campaigning for his to be the first African American to become president of the United States of America, my wife and I, Tanya, had a benefit at our house. And the week before, I'm talking CIA, Secret Service, FBI, bomb dogs. The block was like on lock. And it was a great event. And I went outside to get some air, and I saw the car. I saw the guy with the football. You know what the football is? The football is a device that that's the device that you put the nuclear code in. And I thought it was a myth, but this person stays very close. He didn't come into the house, but he was outside. And we do not want Donald Trump to have the nuclear code. That is scary, because he'll blow his whole motherfucker up. I don't think he's presidential, and he spews hate. And it's shameful, I think, on the United States of America that this is the best Republican Party has to offer. But it is not a joke. There's a person that travels to the president everywhere he goes, and that person has an attaché on. There's different things, but they call the code word is a football. And if the president gives that order, that person has to put in the code, and then you saw the end of Dr. Strangelove, right? With Slim Pickens riding the nuclear bomb with the cowboy hat on. it's some serious times now.
Well, folks, I want to remind you.
Don't go out and commit suicide tonight after this. After you leave here, there's still hope.
No, go out and tell everyone you know and 20 other people that Chiraq opens here tomorrow. So come out. And I want to thank you for the movie, Spike. And
thank you.
And on behalf of the crowd, your films have been amazingly meaningful for me for my entire life. So thank you so much.
And I want to thank the people of Toronto who've always supported my films way back since 1986. Thank you. Get home safe. T. Dot.